I find it wild how people who believe governments that force their citizens into the military are nothing but fascist governments, because it's fascism to force your citizens to join the military uh, under threat of jail time or death or any kind of punishment for not joining the military. Uh, the only types of government that does that are fascist government. You can't claim to be a democratic government when you're forcing people to be slaves under the threat of jail time.
Since the beginning of the war in Gaza on October 7th, Israel has called up nearly 300,000 reservists. This was in addition to the regular standing army, in which almost 90% of Israeli Jewish youth serve. In contrast, among ultra-Orthodox Jewish young men, only about 3% are drafted into the Israeli army. This almost
That's because like the ultra Orthodox people have an exemption from the military in Israel once a male, and the moment you hit 18, you're required to join the military. And if you don't, you can face jail time. Refusing to join, you get 30 days. If you refuse again after that, you get another 30 days. And you can also be labeled a traitor for not joining the military. How is that not fascism? Not allowing a person to not join the military if they don't want to. Forcing people to join the military and do something they don't want to do is making them slaves.
blanket exemption from the draft was granted to the ultra-Orthodox so they can study the Torah in religious institutions instead of doing military service, but it is now the subject of heated public debate.
Public opinion polls clearly demonstrate that Israelis care deeply about the issue of recruitment and are deeply worried about the exemption for the ultra-Orthodox community, exemption from service. This is
Well, if you're so worried about recruitment numbers, why not join the IDF yourself instead of uh, forcing other people to join the military? It doesn't make any sense how people are worried about there's not enough IDF members while they themselves don't want to join the IDF. They want to force other people to be in the military.
has been the case before October 7th, and now, given the war situation and the increasing burden on the serving population, this is extremely disconcerting for the majority of the population.
The exemption policy
But it's just more insane that there are people that are willing to force people to become slaves of the government in order to fulfill the goals that they think that they deserve to have. It is just insane. They don't care about the rights of other people. All they want to see is the genocide of the Palestinian people.
was initiated when the State of Israel was founded over 75 years ago. Then 400 ultra-Orthodox students received exemptions, while last year that number surged to 66,000. Israel's Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled that these exemptions are discriminatory and demanded that successive governments compel the ultra-Orthodox to be drafted. The court
Well, it's discriminatory to allow people to not be forced into the military to believe. This government is not a government about freedom. This government is a government all about controlling people and forcing them to be slaves.
says the change must be made into law by the end of March. But ultra-Orthodox parties are an essential part of Prime Minister Netanyahu's hardline coalition, and they are threatening to bring down the government if their military exemptions are canceled. Israel's chief Sephardic rabbi declared that if a law is passed to draft all ultra-Orthodox men into the military, the men would leave the country. Ultra-Orthodox demonstrations
Well, that is hilarious. If the leader of the Orthodox group is saying that Israelis will leave the nation if they're forced into the military. Uh, I bet these people will be considered anti-Semitic for leaving Israel.
Demonstrations against the Army draft have been stormy and sometimes violent.
They want us.
And it is insane the treatment these people get just for protesting against being forced into the. How does this prove that Israel is safe for Jewish people when they're beaten and forced into the military for not wanting to join the military? How is a Jewish person safe in Israel if they're forced into the military?
The Orthodox people here in Israel to go to the Israeli army. They have one intention. They want us to be not religious. Therefore, we prefer to die. We don't mind going to prison. We prefer to die and not go to the Israeli army.
The ultra-Orthodox live.
Wow, that dude is willing to die instead of joining the military. What does that say about the Israeli government?
In insular communities completely separate from secular Israeli society. They say that going to the army could tempt many of the young men to abandon their religious way of life. But there are some voices in the ultra-Orthodox community.
Oh, so they're worried that joining the military may corrupt the ultra-Orthodox people, but those that are calling to force these people into the military care, it doesn't seem like it. So how is the Israeli nation safe for these people?
Who favor military service, as long as the army would provide strictly kosher food and keep men and women separate.
It's not sustainable to hold such a big community in such a small state that are not serving in the army, and especially after October 7th, we need the soldiers.
Though honestly, the idea of having to be segregated from women is pretty stupid for the ultra-Orthodox believe. It shows a discriminatory view of women where you think women are so like evil or something that if men are next to them or something or look at them that you will become corrupt yourself. That is a real big issue with like Orthodox religious people, no matter who you are, they have a really bad view of women, and that honestly needs to change because sitting next to a woman doesn't make you a bad person, no matter what your like fairy tale tells you.
The army need the soldiers. So we need to find a way how to let Haredim join the army, and serve in the army like everyone, and from the other way, keep their identity and way of life.
While the debate rages on whether
This is a big thing about the Israeli government. They think that uh, Israeli men, in order to like keep the identity of Jewish people and Israelis, they have to join the military, and that is where they will implant a lot of propaganda into people and think that like murdering like Palestinian babies is a good thing because it somehow protects Israeli security.
to end the ultra-Orthodox military